Welcome to How to Save Your Marriage with Nicola Beer, a show full of tips and practical strategies to repair, rebuild, and strengthen your relationship. If you are currently stuck wondering if your marriage can be saved, or you know you want to save it but don't know how to go about changing it, this show is for you. And now here is your host, Nicola Beer, who specializes in a proven 10-step program to help couples increase the love, passion, and happiness in their marriage in 30 days or less, guaranteed.
Hi and welcome. I'm really happy you're here because this episode is for anyone who is in a relationship that is struggling at the moment. In a relationship where perhaps there's loneliness, perhaps there's distance, perhaps there's frustration, tension, explosive rows, or the silent treatment. If any of this is going on for you, then I'm going to be sharing why marriage counselling can fail, and when supporting your relationship, when strengthening your relationship, what you can do to avoid any pitfalls and really move forward and have the relationship that you truly deserve and that you truly want. So let me start by sharing an alarming statistic. 75% of people report that they're worse off or even divorced after marriage counselling. Don't let that happen to you. Recently, I got an email from a couple that I was working with this month to strengthen their relationship. And with their permission, they've let me share their story in order to help and inspire others and give hope that it's not only possible to transform your relationship, but that you can change it quickly. Mary and Kevin have been married for 19 years. They started to fight 7 years ago after the birth of their second child. Kevin felt angry and annoyed that he could never do anything right in the home or with their two sons, according to his wife. She was always complaining, and he started to avoid her, staying late at work, avoiding her in the home, just really avoiding each other completely. He would get in the home and then he'd be on his iPad and just cone himself away. Mary felt alone, unsupported and irritated at the lack of attention Kevin was giving her. She felt distance from him, and whenever he wanted to be physically intimate, she refused. This infuriated Kevin further. He was working so hard for what? A sexless marriage and an unhappy home. To make things worse, his work was also an area of stress. Poor management meant that he was working long hours, and there was also the threat of redundancy because they were always consistently doing lots of restructuring, and he knew that the company he was working for wasn't very profitable, and he just had this hanging over his head. So Kevin had thought about divorce. He thought about leaving. He thought about telling his wife how upset he was. They then started marriage counselling. During marriage counselling, they were encouraged to take it in turns to go into detail about the main issues that they were facing. They were asked to explain all of the events that caused the biggest pain throughout the relationship since they got together 19 years ago. Each week, they would turn up, pay the fees, and open up. Often they would feel angrier, more resentful, and more agitated after. And it was much harder to be kinder after a session. Normally it would take them a day or two to just get back into the normal swing of things. Mary felt that after each session, less and less close to Kevin. Kevin felt like a failure and completely retracted. So sadly, the reverse of what they wanted was happening. They were becoming further and further apart because they were hearing each other complain about each other, and each week they went, they felt more and more hopeless. They felt that perhaps they are incompatible. Perhaps they married the wrong person. Perhaps their differences are just so huge that they can't live together anymore. Unfortunately, the more they went, the worse off they became. But they kept thinking that they've put investment into the counsellor, they've put financial investment, emotional investment, time investment, that perhaps they should continue and hoping that it would really get better. A major plus from the experience is that they did really get to listen and understand each other's problems, yet there was no solution and no strategy to move them past hearing each other's pain. They really were wondering whether it's time to just throw in the towel and accept that they make each other unhappy. Was there any point in trying? Was there any point in trying to stay and salvage the relationship for themselves or for their children if unhappiness was so prevalent in their lives, in how they felt, and in the home? Then I met Mary and Kevin, and I explained to them how I work in a completely different way. And I'm not sharing this with you to say, come and work with me, although it'll be lovely if you did. I love helping in this area. I'm sharing this with you so that you can learn the tools to really transform your relationship yourself. And the first key is really to putting the problems aside. So let me first explain to you why marriage counselling can fail. The reason that marriage counselling can fail is that it often starts by focusing on the problems. They normally ask a couple to share what is wrong, what is going on, what is causing the problems. And the issue with this is that it can often cause more negativity. Analysing what has gone wrong creates negativity. Negativity is a killer of closeness and of passion. No one wants to hug someone that has just been criticising them for an hour. No one wants to make love with someone who is just constantly complaining or is grumpy or is moody. So in order to have a great relationship, we really need to eliminate the negativity. And that can be negativity from the relationship and also negativity from outside of the relationship. What can you do to make yourself happier? The next thing that talking about problems can do is it can really lead for resentment to build. Resentment builds over time anyway, unless we process it, unless we move on, unless we decide to let it go. And this can bring a lot of pain and a lot of hurt to light. So repeating problems in a marriage counselling session, or even on your own, if you try to tackle your problems by going over the past, really it's going to lead resentment to become stronger. And resentment is, again, a passion killer. And even if your partner doesn't say anything to you, if they're feeling resentful towards you, resentful about the relationship, unfairness, then you're going to feel it. You can feel it and you can see it. And they don't even have to say a thing. Their body language, the energy in the home will really show that there is resentment. You can tell when you can cut tension with a knife. And I've had couples after the program that I offer say to me that they didn't realise that they had so much resentment and it was so obvious, and that friends have gone out for dinner with them and said, oh wow, I can tell a difference, you two are getting on again. Because they're going out for dinner with friends and the friends could just tell that there was this lingering resentment between them. So you can see it. The next thing that talking about problems does is it focuses on blaming. One of the easiest ways we can harm our relationships is fixating on blaming either ourselves or our partner. When we blame, we give all of our power away. If we say to our partner, it's because you did this or you did that to me, we're saying, I'm not in control of my behaviour or actions. It's not your fault. And we're saying that it is their fault and it's not our fault. And we're blaming them. And when we do this, what we're doing is we're just saying, I wash my hands of it. So how can a couple move forward? How can you move forward if you're trying to solve your problems in your own relationship and all you're doing is playing the blame game? It's going to get you stuck. And we need to take responsibility. And self-blame and self-putting ourselves down and really beating ourselves up is not going to help either. So it's about healthy taking responsibility. Taking responsibility to saying, okay, I did do this and you're right, and what's my part in it, and then what am I going to do to change this? And this is how we move forward. Because let's give you an example. Think about it. If I'm drinking heavily or getting angry and abusive or giving my partner the silent treatment because of something that my partner has done to me and I blame them solely, what I'm doing is I'm saying to myself, I'm saying to them, that I have no control over what happens. And I put all the possibility of a good relationship on them, meaning that they will have to change and they will have to act in a different way. They'll have to act perfectly in order for me to be the person that I want to be in a relationship, which is really ludicrous. When couples get stuck in the blame game, they become trapped. It's impossible to rebuild a marriage when you're focusing on blaming each other. It really takes both of you to step up, take responsibility, and yes, what they're doing may have led to things that have led you to act or behave in a certain way. But if you can't accept the responsibility, it's just going to continue. And this is why it's really important to take actions, because we've all heard the word "I'll change" before. And "I'll change" or "I'll do something different next time" is pretty meaningless after we've heard it once or twice. As much as we want to believe someone's promises, it's really difficult because it's just words. And so actions really need to happen. And blaming, all it really does is cause distance, negativity, and a sense of hopelessness. So you really need the opposite if you're looking to have a great relationship, strengthen your relationship, and get that loving closeness that you really want. And the last thing about problems is that it creates a lot of shame. Most men and women take pride in being a good husband, wife, mother, father, friend, and person more generally. And when we hear a long list of our failings, we can feel crushed. We can feel terrible. We can feel that we are the worst person ever. And we can repeat that. And this can take a huge blow to our self-confidence, to our self-esteem. And we may become defensive and aggressive to protect our point of view. But deep down, it hurts. It really hurts to hear that you are making someone miserable. It really hurts to hear that you are upsetting someone. We all like to please our partners. We all like to be a good person. We all like to create happiness in others' lives, not cause pain or tension or be unkind. So this doesn't help either. It creates a lot of shame. The last thing about relationships, and more importantly, going over the problems in relationships, is that it's fixated on the past. How can you move forward and create that amazing relationship that you truly want if you're fixated on things that have happened in the past, if you're fixated on things that have gone wrong, negative feelings? So in order to move forward, it really takes a plan, it takes actions, and it takes strategies to focus and reconnect. And that's why I really focus on a new way forward, a new opportunity for new growth and a new relationship. So really briefly, let me describe to you what does work. What works is reconnecting. First of all, we need to take actions to increase the connection, increase the love, reinstall romance, and find a way to feel great again in the relationship. Put that romance back into it, re-romancing. The next thing we need to do is to clear negativity. When we eliminate negativity, we feel great. And there are so many ways to inject positivity and fun back into a relationship. We need to clear resentment because, as I mentioned, you can feel it if the other person, even if they're not saying anything, it's a horrible feeling to have and you can sense it. And the next is creating a shared meaning and purpose. It's really important to focus on the future, to focus on what you've got to look forward to together, to focus on how you're going to move forward, how you're going to be closer, how you're going to deal with different situations in a happier way. And the last thing you really want to do is look at new ways of communicating. So many couples get stuck in the same pattern of arguing, the same pattern of communicating, and that just creates a vicious cycle where one is showing a lack of respect, the other one shows a lack of respect, and then there's no respect left in the marriage. And this can happen not just with respect, but with other areas of communication. One shuts down, the other shuts down. One shouts, the other shouts. And it just becomes a negative loop that needs breaking. And the way to break that is having new communication strategies, new ways to interact and really move forward and have that loving and close relationship. And that's what I really believe. I believe in having a new opportunity, a new way of relating. And if this is interesting to you, then join me in my Marriage Secrets Masterclass. It's a 90-minute masterclass where I talk about how to have that loving and close relationship without talking about problems, and how to really rebuild and reconnect so that you're happier and your home is happier and any children, any family are happier, and it has a knock-on effect. The happier you are, the more happiness we can create in other people's lives. So thank you so much for listening. It's my mission to strengthen families, to save marriages, and to stop loneliness. And just you listening, just you being here is helping me in my mission. And if you did like what you hear, I would so appreciate it if you could share the episode with others, or if you could click the rating and review button. That would really mean so much to me. From my heart to yours, have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you for listening to How to Save Your Marriage with Nicola Beer. To book your free Save My Marriage consultation, please visit www.savemymarriageprogram.com/consult. And if you've enjoyed this episode, Nicola would really appreciate it if you could leave a rating and review on whatever app you're listening through, so the show stays visible, allowing more people to get the support they need to increase their love, passion, and happiness.